This is a special edition of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies in which we're going to compare two budget Bunnahabhains. Which one's the best? The Bunnahabhain 12 or the Bunnahabhain Stiùireadair? Stay tuned to find out. All right, welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies. And if you haven't already subscribed, you want to hit the subscribe bell and so you can be notified when I go live or post a new video. And if you are one of my patrons, I want to thank you very much for supporting my channel. Become a part of my little group. I try to provide some behind the scenes videos and do uncorkings and stuff like that. It's a work in progress, still working on trying to figure out what is the best for my Patreons, but thus far, people seem to be really enjoying it. Alrighty, so why do a side-by-side comparison between two whiskeys? From a whiskey tuber perspective, number one, people like the side-by-side videos, and so you might come to it and say, hey, this will grow my channel, da-da-da-da-da, let's do a side-by-side video. And there's some truth to that. Number two, it's the ability to reuse material you've already had. I've already reviewed these. I don't have to spend more money for the bottles. I've already got them. Let's use them again, get more content, and produce another video. And there's truth to that too. There's that additional value. But for me, there really is a valuable experience in taking two whiskeys and going side by side and comparing them. The reason why is, our memory of how something looks, smells, tastes, or sounds isn't perfect. And so we may in our head smell and taste and sort of compare these and from our memory and say which one we like more and putting these side by side based on previous experience. But the reality is, until you actually put the glasses in front of you, pour yourself a wee dram of each and kind of go side by side, you may be surprised at how perceptions might not be entirely accurate. And even if there is one that is sort of the winner between the two, you may find that, hey, you really like that other one more than you thought you did, or wow, that the winner between the two in the competition, that it really shines more as to how great a whiskey that is when you compare it to others. So comparing whiskeys side by side is not only a lot of fun, it's a great learning experience. Now, one of the challenges if you're doing peated whiskeys is peat tends to stick around, and so you want to make sure you have some water. You might have some neutral crackers, bread, whatever else, or take a few minutes in between the two, because that peat is going to linger, and what you may be tasting from the second glass may actually be sort of an echo or remnant of the first glass. So, alrighty, before I get into these, here are my notes on these whiskeys. The Bunnahabhain Stiùireadair Islay single malt Scotch Whisky was aged in first and second fill sherry cask. It is non-chill filtered, has natural color. It's bottled at 46.3% alcohol by volume and is a bargain at only $40 thereabout here in the United States. The Bunnahabhain 12-year-old, of course, was aged a minimally of 12 years. It's a blend of ex-bourbon and ex-sherry cask. It is also non-chill filtered, has natural color. It is also bottled at 46.3% alcohol by volume and is really close in price range. It goes for anywhere between $45 and $50. So, in terms of price and quality and so forth, these are really two good comparable bottles. One with a little bit more sherry, one with a little, perhaps, maybe a little bit more smoke there. And yet one's got more bourbon, so it really is a good comparison. Now, one of the reasons why the Stiùireadair came out is there was a time in which there was sort of a shortage of the 12-year-old, really popular, and so they were looking for other bottlings to put out there to sort of fill the spot where a 12-year-old wasn't available. But it seems now things have caught up and both are equally widely available. All right, let's get into it, starting with the Stiùireadair. One of the things about the Stiùireadair is the youth does show up. We don't know what the age is, it's not revealed, but it still seems fairly young. But having more of a sherry influence, being a first and second fill sherry, that sort of helps cover up perhaps a little bit of that youth. But the sherry immediately shows up. raisins, dried black fruit, some little bit of figs, dates. And there's a little bit of sweet on the nose, lighter caramels, milk chocolate. There's a little bit of salty sea breeze, which I absolutely love. I'm now getting, which I wasn't getting before, a slight floral note. There's a little bit of malty character in there as well. There's a little bit of a green note to it, and that's what I'm sort of interpreting as being the youth. It's a little bit of like a lemon lime character, perhaps a little bit of green apple. There might be a little bit of nuttiness underneath. All right, on the nose, the 12. I don't want to jump to a conclusion already, but I'm really happy on the nose. As soon as I get into the 12, I can't help it. It's like, oh yeah, there she is. All right, so even though the 12-year-old is ex-bourbon and ex-sherry, it seems to be actually showing more sherry notes. And I would say that's probably because it's got a little bit more age on it. It's had more time to absorb sherry. So while it may have ex-bourbon, it's got more time to sort of have more impact from the sherry. Because it's got, a matter of degrees, you just turn up a little bit, it's got more of those fig, dates, raisin character, more caramels. You're starting to get it more into a little heavier chocolate note, but also toffee. Wow. And then you get some like grilled stone fruits, grilled peaches, a little bit more, say apple. There is a citrus note there, lemons, a lemon lime. The saltiness is there. There is, it reminds me of baklava. There's also a little bit more of a savory note. All right, now I don't want to jump into the palate right away. Take a time to sort of observe, observe and sort of meditate on the whiskeys. Think about them, and now let's go back to the Stiuireadair. Smoke is popping a lot more. That youth is definitely there. You find those youth notes, and again, it's just a matter of degree. If you've had the Ardbeg 5 Wee Beastie, if you've had the Lagavulin 8, it's those sort of youth notes. In fact, this would be a really good bottle to compare with those other two whiskeys, although the youth note, while it's there, it's not as intense and as obvious and sort of in your face as the Wee Beastie or the Lagavulin 8. There's actually now sort of like a wine character to it, although it's not spent any time in like a red wine cask. Yeah, the Bunnahabhain on the nose is more confectionery. It's more like, I grew up with 4 brothers, and my dad would buy my mom, a box of See's candy, Mother's Day, whatever else. She get this big box of See's candy. I think my mom had a couple, but me and my brothers probably eat the rest of the box, to tell you the truth. So if you have a box of See's candy and you take off, maybe there's a cellophane, whatever, wrapping on it. And if you don't have See's candy, then some other kind of boxed, we have maybe 20 or 30 little, chocolates inside. And we take the cellophane off. And as soon as you lift the lid off the box, you get this sort of wave of all the chocolates and the nougat and all the characters of those individual chocolates that are somewhat still mysterious because they kind of look the same, but inside is something completely different. But you get that waft of the aromas coming up out of that, chocolates box. That's kind of what you get, something similar to that. All right, let's do it on the palate. One more. From what I remember, and this goes back to what I talked about at the beginning, your memory of a whiskey, and comparing in your mind versus when you actually have it in front of you. I'm getting more spice than what I remember. Plus, another thing is, the bottle's been sitting for a while, perhaps opening up a little bit more, again, with a little bit of air in there, right? So the bottle can evolve as well. That could happen with both of these. But I'm getting more spice than what I remember. A little bit more of like a black licorice, anise, perhaps a little bit of pepper. But getting the caramels, getting the chocolate, there's still a little bit of that sort of green note there. A little bit of toffee. The dried black fruit notes, fig, dates, and raisins. A really, really nice whiskey. I've actually got an extra bottle of this. I'm going to be heading back to Texas shortly after recording this. So I'll probably bring a bottle with me because I accidentally bought an extra bottle. Forgot I'd already ordered one. So I'll probably take it with me down there to share with people. But still a really, really, really nice whiskey. Let's drink a little bit of water. Actually sort of move the water around my mouth like a dishwasher or washing machine, and sort of pull the water across my tongue and palate, sort of cleanse it rather than just drink it, It's almost, I guess I could gargle it as well, but I don't know if that would be helpful. But just sort of swish the water around in my mouth to really, as much as possible, get the first whiskey off my palate. But all right, let's get into it. It's good to talk and breathe, so you don't just have a lot of extra water hanging around to dry your mouth out so that you can get into the next whiskey. All right, let's get into it. Oh man. You can probably tell by the expression on my face how much I really like the Bunnahabhain 12. Wow. It's richer. It doesn't have the youth notes. It has those dried black fruit notes, as does the Stiuireadair, but they seem a little bit sweeter, a little juicier, so a little bit plumper, more raisins, a little bit more intense, a little bit more turned up, the fig, the dates, of the raisins, the caramels, dried stone fruit like peaches. There's probably a little bit of apple in there. You get a little bit of, and then the spice. Different spice. This was more of a peppery spice. I'm getting more of a baking spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, that kind of a character. Vanilla, really rich vanilla coming up on the back end. And the evolution, So I'm giving you the aromas and the flavors, but the evolution and the development of the 12-year-old is so much deeper, so much wider, so much more rich. I'm sorry, there's no come. Sorry, Stiuireadair, you're losing out on this one. The big brother is kicking your ass. Sorry, that's just the way it goes. So the Bunnahabhain 12, it's not even a question. It absolutely totally blows it away. That's which makes me a greater appreciation for the 12-year-old. Of course, it's a few dollars more. But I want to tell you, if you're looking at these two bottles and you're wondering, hey, well, is that extra $5 to $10 or whatever between the two really worth it? I'll say absolutely. Now, if you can still get the 12-year-old, in the price range that I'm saying here, buy it, buy more than one, buy two, because I've been hearing through the grapevine that these are starting to creep up. That prices are starting to increase. And of course, there's a lot of variation from state to state and whatever country is, and there's all these sort of variations. I'm just talking about my neighborhood. But if you can get the Bunnahabhain 12 at a really decent price, don't buy one, buy two, because it's absolutely a superb high quality price ratio. I would say the two highest quality price ratios, the best high quality price ratio, the budget affordable whiskeys on all of Islay. From the south, it's going to be the Ardbeg 10 and Bunnahabhain 12 from the north part of the island. Highly recommend. Now, someone gives me a bottle of Stiuireadair, am I going to go, no, of course not. It's an absolutely fantastic whiskey. Really, really like it. But it's also probably a whiskey I might want to play around with in adding a little bit of a different character to a cocktail and serving it differently and enjoying it differently. See how it plays out in that way as well. Alrighty. So, That's it for this video. If I was going to give point scores, the 12-year-old easily goes over 90. The Stiuireadair is under 90. I'm going to go probably like around 88. I'll probably go like a 92 for the 12. So it's just a slam dunk beat between the two. Quality price ratio, an extra $5-10, absolutely the 12 is worth it. Alrighty. So if you are one of my subscribers, I want to thank you very much. Again, if you're one of my patrons, thank you very much. And if you have yet to subscribe, you're going to want to do so. And ring the bell to be tuned, as I said before, so you'll be notified when I go live or post a new video. Alright, till next time, cheers. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other whiskey videos.